Now, I'd imagine a lot of you are here today because you see the value in starting a referral program. Now, with that being said, I always love to start a presentation by just recapping how important or even how powerful a referral program can be for your business. It's interesting, referrals are 4 times more likely to buy when they're referred by a friend. And that's because there's a level of trust there that they may not have had if those referrals came in from another marketing channel. Now, on top of that, we've even seen some B2B buyers turning to social networks, not just to share, but also to get advice. So marketing for members, it really works mainly because that's a trusted source to that referral. Now, referred customers also tend to spend 16 to 25% more over the course of their lifetime with your customer or with your company. People stick. We know people stick with brands they know and trust. So since they're referred by somebody they know, they also have that same trust and loyalty the person referring them already has to your company. Referrals also have a 37% higher retention rate. So referrals, they tend to be leads that stay with your company longer. And actually, it's worth noting as a lead, they tend to be much easier to cultivate as well. Once they become a paying customer, we find referrals tend to be more loyal than even new customers that come in from other marketing channels. Now, the last statistic here is one that I actually find the most interesting. 83% of people are willing to share after a positive experience, but only 29% actually end up sharing. Now, those are a lot of potential leads that you could be missing out on just simply by not having a structured way for your customers to drive referrals. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about what makes a successful program. In a successful program, there are actually 3 main aspects. We're going to go through each of these in details, but to walk through them briefly, the first, and I think probably is arguably one of the most important, is promotion of your program. So some of you might remember maybe in the last webinar, last month, we talked about effective promotion. It's extremely important to make sure that you're promoting consistently and effectively, and that's going to help contribute to a successful program. The next key is proper member engagement. So for those of you that maybe are new to Referral Rock, members is the term that we use to describe people who are referring. So your referring audience. We want the registration process to be easy, as well as their sharing process. If it's difficult, complicated, or even confusing to join the program, it could end up being more of a deterrent than an asset to your audience. Now, the third key is setting effective rewards. Rewards are a large contributor in closing that gap that we talked about a second ago, where 83% of people are willing to share, but only 29% do. An effective reward can help incentivize somebody to share who maybe wouldn't have done so otherwise. So let's go ahead and dive into those concepts in more detail. I had mentioned earlier that promotion's arguably one of the most important aspects to running a program. So if you're promoting effectively, it'll boost the success, of course. If you're not, it can actually harm the success. One way that maybe it's good to think about promotion is that your members or your referring audience may not know that a referral program may even exist. They might be willing to share, but they simply never do because they don't know there is a referral program. And I heard someone say once, it's like throwing a birthday party. If you were going to throw a birthday party, of course, you need to send out invitations, and you probably even send out reminders to tell people about it, right? Well, the same goes for your referral program. If you don't tell people about the party, don't expect them to show up. Another aspect of promotion is actually providing your users an easy way to access the program in the first place. By keeping it in places that your users are already engaging with, maybe like your website, newsletters, email campaigns, things like that, it's going to make it much easier for them to join the program. you'll notice here at the bottom, I've listed a number of promotion ideas. It could be things like dedicated email campaigns, footers, website promotion, social media, paid ads, confirmation screens. And I mean, the list is really endless. There's even more than what we have here. When thinking about how to promote your program, a great rule of thumb is to promote at points in the customer journey where your customers are happiest. So these are places like maybe on your checkout page after they just made a purchase, could even be the order confirmation email. Maybe they just interacted with awesome support from your team. Take advantage of those interactions and include the referral program, maybe in your team's signature or something like that. I would recommend probably mapping out your customer journey and find about 3 to 4 places where you can seamlessly insert a mention of the referral program. Now, another idea is providing links in places your customers are already interacting with. So maybe you could provide a link on your homepage, maybe inside their user account. If you send out newsletters or other types of email correspondence, always include the referral program, at least in the footer, just to help boost that engagement. It's also equally important to have dedicated promotion exclusively to the program. So if you're going to take any tips out of this promotion section of the presentation, I'd say you should be sending at least one dedicated email campaign reminding your audience of the referral program, probably once per quarter, every 3 months. Of all forms of promotion, we find dedicated email campaigns are actually the most effective in getting users to join and refer. Now, similar to email promotion, it's recommended to also have dedicated social media campaigns, really just dedicated to the referral program as well. That second image you see here on the screen is a great example of that. Social media can be especially important because it's typically a place where like-minded people connect. So if you have one qualified customer, they're following you, they're likely going to have friends that are qualified as well. Now let's talk about member engagement. The process of members registering and sharing, it should be very simple. It should be clear. In that Referral Rock, we actually have a couple ways to accomplish that. One is through our standard registration page. So the way our registration page works is it just asks for their name or email. And it actually gives them the option to sign up with Facebook or Google if they wanted to do that as well. It just, I'd say a good rule of thumb is just limit the barriers to entry, and that's going to promote more people joining your program. An even simpler way to get access to your referral program is through dedicated email campaigns as well. And one thing we typically use in those email campaigns is what we call one-click access. And it's where users can register just by clicking on a link. Now, in addition to easy registration, you want to provide your members with a straightforward sharing process as well. So you want to utilize things like quick share buttons. So if you notice in the images below, you have in the middle, for example, Uber, they offer you users the ability to share using email, Twitter, Facebook, text message. It's just the ability to offer multiple options can really help different types of members to share in as many ways as possible. So to sum it up, we want to make sure that member sharing is easy. It shouldn't be too complicated. And this is really all encompassing about your program in general. If your program's too complicated, it can lend to low member adoption and low member participation as well. That includes keeping your rewards simple as well. On that point, let's talk about how to choose rewards for your program effectively. So these are 2 questions you should ask yourself when you're thinking about rewards. The first question is who gets those rewards? So who's going to be the one receiving the rewards? And then also, what's the reward type? Or what are you going to give them as the reward? To start with that first one, when deciding who gets the reward, there are 2 categories of rewards to consider. We have one-sided rewards, and then we have dual-sided rewards. Now, both do actually have their both pros and cons. One-sided reward is when you reward just the member or just the referral. That structure is great for companies that maybe need to grow brand awareness, those that are selling affordable products. One-sided rewards encourage customers to bring more people to your company. And I guess with a strong recommendation from the member and a reasonably priced product, the referred friend is likely to make a purchase, even if they don't get a discount. Now, an example of this, I don't have this on the screen here, we'll see it on the next slide, is Morning Brew. It's a newsletter company. The referrals are just signing up for a newsletter. So the reward doesn't necessarily have to go to the referral. That company just rewards the member when they get enough referrals to participate in the newsletter or subscribe to the newsletter. Now, the other reward category is a dual-sided reward structure. This is without a doubt the more common of the two, and what we typically recommend to our customers. A dual-sided reward system is when both the member and the referral get a reward. Dual-sided rewards are typically more effective than one-sided rewards, and that's simply because both the member and referral are getting incentivized to participate. So it probably also comes to no surprise that members are less likely to share when they look self-serving, right? And maybe when they don't provide their friend with an incentive. So a dual-sided reward can help overcome that. Dual-sided rewards, as far as best practices go, are actually best for any business type. So if you're considering this reward structure, just make sure you have the resources, of course, to reward both parties. And if you do, I mean, it's a great reward structure. You see an example here on the right. If member drives a referral, then both the member and referral get a free photo book. Now that you've decided who's getting the reward, the next step is to decide what that reward is going to be. Now, this here on the left is not an end-all be-all recommendation, but we typically see this structure used when deciding what the reward should be for their product. So before you decide on the reward, take an honest evaluation of your product or service and decide what's going to work for the best for you. And if we take a moment and even think about maybe offering a discount as a reward. Now, that would be most effective to offer if the product type is maybe frequent or repeat purchase. If you're selling a high value product, and maybe that isn't a purchase, maybe isn't purchased frequently, then your members may not be incentivized by discount since they already made a purchase, and it's possible they may not make another. So more frequent repeat purchases lend well to things like discounts, coupons. We even see store credits and free subscriptions. On the right, we have a few examples. You see Morning Brew there. It's a very popular program that offers swag depending on how many referrals somebody drives. On the top right, we even have a raffle where every referral in the entry is a raffle to win $1,000 towards their next trip. One thing I always like to mention, there's no need to be married to a reward structure. You can always change it up. Try different reward structures if you see one isn't working. Now, on that point, our last section is about evaluating your program and possibly improving it. Now, if you ran a program last year, these are some good questions you should be asking yourself as you plan your program going forward. And I'd say, I guess, honestly, even if you didn't run a program last year, these are good questions to ask yourself as you run a program as well. If you notice the first comment, it always comes back to promotion. Remember, the first key was effective promotion. So ask yourself, honestly, how was your promotion? Could your promotion maybe be more frequent? Or are there other types of promotion you should probably be trying? If you're a Referral Rock user, we have a dashboard where you can track statistics of your program. And if you have access to that, I'd recommend going through and maybe seeing if there are any spikes in member registration around different points of promotion needed. Now, the next thing to consider is, did you have many people interact with the emails you sent? Or if you had much traffic to the pages where you feature the referral program. And if you did, keep doing that, but if not, it's good to ask yourself, could the messages be improved? Should we maybe try different types of promotion, different forms of promotion? Now, something that's frequently overlooked is feedback from users. You might have some users reach out, and sometimes they may even offer specific suggestions, requests. It's important to listen to those, but typically your users reach out when they're confused or when they need help or things like that. If that's happening, note those moments. If there's an issue with your users and they're commonly running into something, it's very likely that others are experiencing that same confusion. So those could be good points to improve your program. Another question you should ask yourself, is your program too complex? Earlier, we talked about keeping a program simple, making sure members can easily understand how to participate and earn rewards. And you may be losing member registrations or even leads due to people never registering because the process is too complex. Simpler programs tend to foster more participation than even complicated ones that have larger incentives. And finally, on that point, take a look at your incentives. Changing your incentives doesn't always mean offering more money to members or referrals. It could mean changing up what the rewards are, or even at what points you reward. Ask yourself if you think your rewards are effective for your users. You could even try one of the rewards we mentioned earlier. If you want more ideas for rewards, though, I'm going to be sending a follow-up email, and there's going to be a few more ideas and tips as far as utilizing effective rewards. Now, to review what we covered today, we talked about the importance of running a program in general. I feel like most attending know that it's valuable to run a program, especially because it can both increase leads as well as provide more quality leads. We talked about the 3 keys to successfully running a program. Remember, they were effective promotion, ease of use for your members, and motivating rewards. Then if you're running a program last year, we talked about some questions to ask yourself when it comes to improving your program in 2022. I'll list those questions in my follow-up email, but those are good to review from time to time.